First poem I'm going to read is The Predator Speaks. Now, the Predator drone seems to be the weapon of choice now that we are pulling troops out of Iraq and Afghanistan. And I sometimes wonder how people feel watching predators overhead in Afghanistan and Pakistan, and how we would feel if we saw predator drones from another country. But we don't ever hear what the predator feels about this, he or she. This is called The Predator Speaks. 1,000 fingers sodded fine, the bits within my brain. My master sings his tune of sight, my wires taut refrain. We survey the valley wide, the ways of rocks and man. Man and woman come and go in vectors of my scan. My master's voice I must obey, his vision born inside. His tender palm upon my clutch I cannot but reply. His fingers touch my quivering keys, my screen alights his eye. I embrace his power to know. His truth becomes my lie. Thank you. That's the Predator drone speaking. Now, the first poet that we're going to hear read is Barbara Ann Branca, who's a poet who has read in various venues. I heard her at Cornucopia in Amityville, later on at Juja Mukti, David Lawton's poetry reading in the East Village. I heard her here at the Son of Pony, and I am very honored to welcome to the stage, and let's hear a warm welcome for Barbara Ann Branca.
Oh, thank you, Bernard. Is anybody with a double B is a friend of mine? Saint Barbara. You may see her candles in every bodega. She's the patron saint of the armies and the navies of Spain and Italy, and was an early Christian martyr. Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, La luna, la luna, Santa Barbara, Miramar by the sea. Santa Barbara, I see her in my dream. She's strong and courageous, sword in hand, soft in heart. She was pure, but she got bloody. Santa Barbara says, do your part. See, her daddy was a rich pagan, locked her up in a tower, gave her beautiful things, but kept all the power. Said, do everything I say, and she answered no, and ran away. So he sent his goons out to get her. She was betrayed. She was deceived. She was beaten and burned, but her wounds miraculously healed. Then Daddy was so mad, he lopped off her head with a sword, frightening. But he paid the price and was struck down by lightning. Santa Barbara prevailed. She's the patron saint of the armies and the mariners that sail, to the firemen and the miners, intrepid from land and sea. She says, don't fear death, stand up for what you believe. Santa Barbara, protecting those in harm's way. Santa Barbara, seen in New York Harbor today. Santa Barbara, intrepid Santa Barbara, seen in Zuccotti Park today.
Yes. Yeah. Whoa,
whoa. The water is wide, I cannot get o'er, neither have I wings to fly. Give me a boat that will carry two, and both shall row my my love and I. Roe, Roe. Roe versus Wade, 1973. A cautionary tale from the 1960s. I remember her hair. Her eyes were warm brown, crowned with a fierce yet noble brow, her complexion milky soft. A natural glow kissed her cheeks with ripe berry lips. But mostly, I remember her hair. Dark, luxuriant, a rich mane piled up high, or flowing down her shoulders, or gathered loosely into a ponytail, its billowing beauty rebelling against an army of tendrils astride either ear. She hung out with the poets, the radicals, the student protesters. She was our Joan of Arc. When her combat boots marched, she was a general in the anti-war. Anthems from her berry lips led us striding through city streets, brandishing candles instead of rifles, calling for an end to an unpopular war. He was a long-haired, gentle soul who wrote her verse on lined paper. A guitar picker with short nails on his left hand and long nails on his right, who knew all the verses to Desolation Row and believed in justice for the everyman. Together they planned candlelight vigils against the war over cold cups of coffee in the campus cafeteria, but today she realizes she is late. She has missed her period. She goes over her calculations. It had to be the night before semester break in that narrow bed in their friend's apartment, but what to do? She tells him she's pregnant. He says he loves children. They care about each other, the planet, the family of man, but they are poor students and have to finish college. He's a few short months away from a job that keeps him out of Vietnam. She wants to graduate, explore her own life. He will support whatever she wants to do. She swallows hard, looks at the 1968 calendar. Her mind makes the decision. Her heart is numb from going along with it. She wants an abortion. She whispers to friends and friends of friends. Didn't so-and-so have an abortion somewhere upstate, somewhere in Manhattan, somewhere in Boston? Then a nurse who's friends with a nurse can help her. They scrape together $25 and she's nervous for the first time as they march on foot and see the Art Deco hotel sign in Midtown. This is it. Head up the elevator, they hold hands. It's hard to look at each other. She has a first name and a room number on a scrap of paper to be thrown away, forgotten forever. A motherly woman greets them before they knock. She gestures toward the makeshift operating table in the kitchenette. Wan March light through the west window. This really won't hurt at all. It's just uncomfortable. The nurse, as a matter of fact, inserts a cold speculum under the strong light of a gooseneck lamp. Just lie still, sensing she wants to bolt. Now I'm going to pack you. Reaching for a sterilized length of rubber hose as rosy as labia, coils the entire length way up inside, snug against the uterine wall, putting pressure on the developing placenta with the intent of letting that pressure eventually pull everything free. She lies there stunned with the procedure's simplicity. No cutting, no sharp metal, just a quiet process that takes longer. She will not walk out of there unpregnant. Nurse tells them, take her for walks. The rubber holes will start to come down in a few days. She's going to bleed. Watch her every minute. She sits up, wobbly. Everything below her waist feels wrong. Here are 2 fistfuls of pills, gray and pink for pain, white ones, antibiotics. The biggest danger, infection. He's standing right next to her, close, tells her she's brave. You kids are so young. Nurse gives them a $5 back, a taxi to their friend's apartment. She swallows some pills, tries to sleep in the narrow bed, a morning walk in the neighborhood, then a little soup, some painkillers, same routine the next day, the next day, the next day. The thing's not budging. She's thinking it's not going to work. She's risking infection and will still wind up pregnant. Don't forget the white pills. Another day. They need a change. She wants to go back to class. He leads her to the biology building, kisses her gently. His heart is so big, she's shrinking hers. Lecture on the mangrove swamp. She's enjoying it. Then it starts. Heat, pressure. She's sweating profusely. That last walk has done it. She can't concentrate. Just breathe. Will there be a pool of blood under the seat? Will people notice? Nobody is paying attention to her. There in the mangrove swamp. She is the swamp. Miraculously, class ends. She's glued to the seat, gathering herself one step at a time out the door into the empty ladies' room. Then an indelicate torrent of piss and blood. She attempts to catch something before it plops into the toilet, but she can't. There, baby. She puts on a big pad and stares deeply into the bowl before flushing. Finished. And although he tried being with her every step of the way, he really couldn't be there at the end of this road. He said they were killing their unborn child. He wasn't the one dealing with having a baby. She was acting out of self-preservation. They catch a checker up to the apartment. She finishes the box of pads. He goes out for more. She finishes the white pills. He doesn't know how to get more. She feels hot and cold at the same time. A demon inhabits the pit of her stomach. He runs down to the bodega to get her something to eat. She splashes water on her face, looks in the bathroom mirror. Just brushing her hair makes her feel faint. She makes it to the couch. He's back in a flash, but it isn't soon enough. Gently, he carries her to the narrow bed. She's shaking violently. He piles on 1 blanket, 2 blankets, 3 blankets, but the berry lips are white. They shape, I love you. He screams silently, don't! And from the next apartment, on scratchy vinyl, Joan Baez is singing. There, but for fortune, go you and I, you and I.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you. Bravo. Thank you.
I'd like to end on something a little easier. Now, moonless night. You and me packed into that cobalt blue VW, logging 1,000,000 miles from Chattanooga to Chaco Canyon. The last 20, all dusty road where jackrabbits, big as ghosts, jump out of the darkness. Onto Pueblo Bonita, where we spend the night, feeling spirits rise from the kivas of the Anasazi. Feeling spirits rise from the kivas of the Anasazi. But in the morning, the ranger says, the sky hasn't cried in 7 years, and you better get out of the canyon now, before the rain comes and slicks up that clay road and no gas to Farmington. Before the rain comes and slicks up that clay road and no gas to Farmington. Oh, came all this way, just 1 more hour to climb down that ladder, to feel the presence of centuries. Where'd they all go? Why'd they leave their home? Why'd they cut down every tree for the timber roof now long, long gone? Why'd they cut down every tree for the timber roof now long, long gone? Get out now, he repeats. So they do. And the sky starts raining, the first time in 100 moons. And the tires start slipping and sliding, the gas tank almost on empty. And then all of a sudden, they see a rise. And on the rise, they see sheep. Rain staining their woolly coats. Rain staining their woolly coats. And above them all, in a multicolored robe like Joseph, holding a wooden staff like Moses, comes a Navajo, a shepherd. And he is thinking about how this rain is so good, and he watches as the rain and the clay course down the arroyo like blood.